Hello and welcome to this Foreman deep dive into host registration. If you've any problems with our live stream, it says our connection is excellent now, but who knows, mightn't be excellent for you. So just please let me know and I'll paste the link to our Google Meet and you can join us over there. You're very welcome to if you need to. And just before I hand you over to Leosh, who's going to take you through host registration in Foreman, just a quick announcement. You're welcome to ask questions in the YouTube live chat or provide any feedback or thoughts. But also we have at the moment both a presence on Freenode IRC where you can ask questions at the Foreman and also in the new space, the Foreman over on Libera chat or Libera. If I would appreciate any guidance on how to pronounce the word of the new IRC service. And if you've been following the latest developments with Freenode, if you've been keeping up to date with the Foreman community discourse, you know that we're discussing our next steps here. So if you have any feedback on that, please let us know over on the Foreman community discourse. So I think that's everything from me. If you have any thoughts, please feel free to share. In the meantime, you can join us over on the Foreman channel on Libera if you'd like to do that. So now I think that's everything from me for now. So I will hand you over to Leosh, who is going to talk you through today's deep dive.
Okay, thank you, Melanie. And hi, welcome everyone. Today I'm going to give you a deep dive about introduction to host registration. My name is Leosh. I'm a developer at the Foreman, and I'm the one who was responsible for this feature. So let's go and see it. So, registering the hosts. How to get hosts to the Foreman? There are several ways how to get to the host to the Foreman. This presentation, I'm not going to talk about provisioning. That's completely separate topics for, I believe, many deep dives and how to provision hosts from the Foreman. This is all about the cases where you already got running hosts, already set up, already doing the things what you want, and you want to get them to the Foreman, have it in your Foreman, and do stuff with them, what Foreman offers. So, what are the current ways how to get the host to the Foreman? If you are using Catalog plugin, you can use Bootstrap PI script, you can use subscription manager. There is also Catalog CA consumer. If you don't have Catalog, or also you can have Catalog, you can use Puppet facts. If you set up your Puppet and your Puppet agent is reporting facts to the Foreman, we can actually import the host from the facts. That same goes with the Ansible. If you want to, if you set up Ansible callback to the instance and run some playbooks on the host, Foreman will collect these facts and import the host object to the database. And there is always the API and Hammer CLI too. So if you want to do it manually, feel free, you can do it. I bet that there is many more other methods how to get the host. I don't do these ones, but feel free to post to the comments or to the chat if you know how to get Foreman to the how to get host to the Foreman. But this presentation is not about these methods. This is about the Foreman host registration method. So what is it? It's a new feature introduced in 2.3 version. What we are trying to do is to make it default registration method. We want to try to implement logic from some of these methods I mentioned before. So we won't have like 10 or 15 methods how to get a host, but just the required number, preferably the less is better. This feature is directly part of the Foreman core. So with every release, every update, you get some nice improvements, nice new features in the method. And the two most important things about these features is utilization of templates and the command which you will register the host. The templates, we are using provisioning templates, so users and you will exactly know what is happening, what commands and what steps are done when the host is registered to the foreman. And of course, this gives a lot of opportunities for the users, for you. You can edit the templates. You can, if you want to contribute to the registration, you can just push the pull request. So I believe it, compared to other methods where you don't know how exactly what is happening, this method gives you nice and clear overview how it is done and what is done. One command, as I mentioned before, this is really good that we will give user one command which will do all the work for the users. The user only have to do is to log into the machine and with the command register the host. You will say it later, or I will show you the demo. Next step, next thing, yeah, configurable with global parameters. Global parameters is a really nice, powerful feature in the format where you can update, let's say, or alter the registration process on the domain level, host group level, operating system level. It's up to you. Very nice, very useful feature. What I also want to mention is the UI and API. We have nice form where you can register, where you can set up the parameters. So if you want to, you can use UI, you can use API. It's up to you. It's all part of the format. No need to set up or install anywhere. It's dependency free. And also you will see later, the feature is extendable from plugins. So if you are a plugin maintainer, you can add your own parameters or your own steps. Feel free to do what you want with the registration. So yeah, demo. Let's see how it works, because that will be preferably better. So this is my foreman instance. As you can see, I don't have any host right now, so let's go and register one. Let's go and register a Debian host. So in the menu, you can click on the register host. This is the UI part I've been talking about. This is where you set up the parameters for the host. I'll go into the details later. Right now, I will show you how to register the Debian host and the CentOS. And then I will go through the workflow and see and show you exactly what is happening. So let's go and register the Debian host. I selected Debian 10. Let's click generate. This is the command required for the registration. What I need to do is to copy the command, go to my Debian machine. You can see that OS release. This is my Debian 10. I will paste the command and just run it. And voila, host Debian successfully enrolled. So now if I will go to the foreman instance, you can see host is registered in the foreman. Let's see how it works with the CentOS machine. This is my clean foreman instance without any plugins. For CentOS, I will show you the with Catelo and other plugins. So page is the same. There is just more fields and a little bit more logic behind registration. But what now I'm going to do is register CentOS host. So let's select the host group. Process is same basically. Copy to clipboard. This is my CentOS, right? You see. Yes, this is my CentOS 7, and let's start registration. This will take a little bit longer because here we are using subscription manager for the registration, but the result should be the same, I hope. Okay, package is downloaded. Registers the system, okay, and voila, successfully enrolled. So let's see the result. This is my instance. Let's go to the hosts. And voila, CentOS registered in the foreman. So that was the demo. Let's see what is happening. So let's go to, okay, so workflow, how it works and what is happening. Workflow is really simple. I don't have any nice picture right here now, but it's not needed. So what needs to do user and what's the foreman responsibility? So first, users need to prepare some data, or you want to prepare some host groups for subscription manager, or you want to use, I don't know, activation keys, operating system, stuff like that. Then you need to generate a command, SSH to the host, and run the command. That's all what users have to do. Then the third step is the foreman. What is happening here that when we run the command on the machine, we will run the templates. First template is global registration. The second one is Linux host initial configuration template. The first global registration template contains stuff about, let's say, preparation stuffs and the actual registration, and the Linux host initial configuration contains steps about initial configuration of the host, like installing packages, deploying SSH keys. I'll show you all the stuff later. So, and the last step is actually host is registered, and voila, that's done. So as you can see, the workflow is really simple and no crazy magic is happening. Really simple workflow. So let's go over the workflow and go through each step. First step, form and the command, the UI. So let's go to the register hosts. So you can see the form contains general and advanced fields. Basically, all the fields, what you want to do, where you want to set the host. Organizations, locations is self-explanatory. Host group, if you want to assign your host to the host group. Operating system, this field is required for the systems where we don't use subscription manager, so we don't get any facts about the host. So, for example, for Ubuntu and Debian, you have to select this field, but for the subscription manager, for CentOS overall, you doesn't have to. Smart proxy. This is useful for cases where you don't have direct access from the host to the foreman, but you can communicate with foreman only through the smart proxy. If you have this case, just select smart proxy and all the communication will go through the smart proxy. Advanced field, setup regs. This will deploy SSH keys on the host, so when the host is registered, you can use remote execution and run the jobs on the host. Setup insights. This is mainly, or I want to say only, for the real machines where you want to download Insights client, register, and run report on the host. And other fields, plenty self-explanatory, installing packages, repository, adding repository, GPG keys, self-explanatory. Token lifetime, I will be talking later. The last fields, I want to remote execution interface. This is from remote execution plugin. For users who doesn't use remote execution plugin, this field is not available. Basically, if you have special interface on the host that you use for SSH connections, you will specify it here, and we will set up in the foreman. These following fields are from Catalog plugin. So again, if you don't use Catalog plugin, you won't see this plugin, see these fields. Activation keys, useful, required. I want to say required for registering CentOS and Trail machines. Lifecycle environment, if you want to set up lifecycle environment, if you want specified it will get from the activation key, and ignore errors force, that's for subscription command register, where self-explanatory. If you want to ignore errors when, for example, subscription manager will fail, or you want to force the re-registration, you will use these fields. What I haven't been talking is host group. Host group is kind of special field because if you specify some parameters on the host group, they will get inherited on the host. That goes same with the form. If I will specify my 50 CentOS group, you can see that, for example, operating system have been inherited, activation key has been inherited, and also the lifecycle environment. So if you want to save time, and I strongly recommend to use host groups, you don't have to fill the other fields, you just select the host group and voila, everything works. Another field what I skipped is the insecure. What this does is that when you are registering the host, you probably don't have deployed CA certificates on the host, so you can use insecure parameter where you won't ignore the SSL errors, but later in the templates I'll show you, we'll use the secure communication as we download the certificate and call other curls command with a certificate. So that was insecure. And in advanced, token lifetime, yes. So the command is curl, which is calling the register endpoint, and that will render the first template. That is here in this workflow. You can see run command on the host and render the template. For authorization and authentication, we use JWT, that is JSON Web Tokens. For it, you can see that we are calling the curl with the authorization header and the actual token generated when I click the generate button. What I want to mention here is that the permissions. The token is including the information about current user. I'm right now generating the command, so the permissions that have user are the same the token have. If I will, for example, change the permissions of the user later, I will also change the permissions of the token. So same permissions for user are the same that the token has. Another thing is that this token is restricted only to register endpoint. So, for example, if you would like to try to call any other API endpoint, let's say for, I don't know, creating users, or creating reports, this token won't work. This token is generated especially for the registration endpoint, and it won't work anywhere else. What you can do is also, and the last thing, what you can do with the token is to set the token lifetime in hours. It's pretty simple. You can set it to unlimited or specify the amount of hours after which it will expire and you can't use the token anywhere else. And yes, that's about the user interface and about the token itself. So let's see the presentation. Yes, let's see to the render templates. So when I went to my CentOS, I called the command curl to register endpoint with some parameters I defined in the form and with the authorization header. What is happening right now is that when I don't pipe it to the bash, I got some commands. These commands are coming from global registration template. And as you can see, there is a lot of steps, something is happening. So if I will pipe it to the bash, which I did before, these commands get executed, and at the end of the template, we will call second endpoint that will render the host registration template, host initial configuration template, where we will run the configuration steps. Basically, render another template and pipe it to the bash again. So that was the form and command, templates and snippets. Yes. So as I said, global registration, that's the first curl command. It's a template with kind registration. What is happening in the template? We will download and prepare SSL certificate for secure communication. So as you remember, you can set the insecure parameter for the first call, but all other curl calls in the template are secure, so don't worry. Adding repositories. If you want to add any repositories before the registration, this is where the magic is happening. Installing subscription manager if you have catalog and you are registering CentOS or real machine. We will install the subscription manager and run the actual registration. At the end of the template, we will call second register endpoint where we will render Linux host initial configuration template. This template is already know that we have the host in the database, so what we are doing on it. Set up Puppet. Are you using Puppet? If you have set up Puppet master and all the required fields, we will render the content of the snippets, Puppet labs repo, and Puppet setup. Set up SSH keys. Deploying keys on the host, so you can use remote execution right away. Installing packages. Just specify what kind of packages you want to install, and they will install. Insights. This is only for rare machines. And empty snippet called host init config post. This is for users who don't want to clone the template and edit it by themselves. So you can just create your own empty snippet and feel free to add whatever you want to do in the host initial configuration. So that was the templates. So third step, and fourth step is registered. So basically that's the whole feature. That's how it works, and that's what we do. So I want to, yes, settings and parameters. Of course, you can configure and you can, let's say, alter the process of the registration. Of course, you can edit the templates and you can put whatever you want there, but definitely you want to check the settings. In the provisioning tabs, there are two new settings: default global registration template and default host initial configuration template. It's easy. If you want to edit each of these templates, you will clone them, name them as you want, and then in the settings you will set the value of your templates. So for the default global registration, if you will call the registration endpoint, this is the template what is going to be rendered. The host initial configuration template, this is the template assigned to operating system. So when you are creating, or when the OS is created automatically, this is the template that is going to be assigned to operating system. If you have cloned it, if you change it, and you have named it in your way, feel free to edit in the settings, and it will be automatically assigned. Global parameters, yes, global parameters, very useful. If you want to change behavior, let's say on the domain or on the host group operating system, you can set the parameters, rewrite them on the level where you want, and even more, change the process to your ideas. Let's say, for example, host packages, you can set the parameter on the CentOS level and set, okay, these packages should install only on CentOS, or on Debian, you will set it to different value, and in the templates, we will get the value based on the level where you set it. So yes, that's settings and parameters. And we are finishing, yes. It's a small feature, but I believe quite powerful. What I want to also mention is Smart Proxy. For the case, can't access from and directly from the host, no problem, use Proxy. The only thing what you have to do is to enable registration module on the Smart Proxy. The module does not contain much logic by itself. Basically what it's doing is to forwarding requests between your registered machine, and the foreman, and sending back the response from the foreman. So when you are registering the host, it doesn't matter if you are doing through the foreman or through the smart proxy, the process is exactly the same. And yes, that was the smart proxy. And yes, that was everything I wanted to talk about today. I believe there are maybe some questions, but feel free to ping me on IRC free node. I know that there are some changes. We are moving probably somewhere else. So yeah, this is what I have right now, but you can ping me on my email, or definitely if you come to some troubles, issues, create a post on the community forum and I'll answer you. And definitely check the new documentation at dossiers, the forum and org, where I hope is enough information about the registration process. If not, if you found something missing, again, ping me, I will update the documentation. So yeah, thank you, and back to Melanie, I guess.
Thank you very much, Leash. Just a quick, I was wondering if anyone out there has any questions. Okay, so just some feedback from Mark saying that, in my opinion, this is awesome functionality. Are there any plans for the future? I don't have any suggestions myself, but if anyone has, where do you want them to report feature requests for feature enhancements? Where should they report those?
Yes, definitely. As I said, community, the foreman org is the best place. If you want to, you can go to foreman issues tracker. There is a new issue category, host registration. So if you will create issue there, I will see it and I will respond to you. But I would say maybe the community, the foreman org is the best place where we can, like discuss it and make some ideas how to do it. And about future plans, there is a lot of future plans, but definitely I would like to implement some feature about automatically detecting operating systems and uploading defects, so the registration would be even easier than now. That's my current plan.
And great. And let's just, from myself, for people watching, in what version of Foreman is all of the features and functionality that you demoed?
Yes,
When
the version is, the first version of the registration was in 2.3, but I strongly recommend Foreman 2.5, where we got a lot of updates. The new UI form is in 2.5.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you. And I have another question from Maximilian, who asks, can you please briefly explain the difference between the host registration template and the host init config template?
Yes, the global registration is doing the preparation for the registration and the actual registration, and the host initial configuration, that's where the host is already registered, so we can do some actual stuff on it, like set up Puppet, set up SSH keys, and stuff like that. So the first one is before registration and registration, and the host init config is after the registration, when we have the host already in the foreman database. That's the difference between them.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And let me just have a look around the place for additional questions. I don't see any. And just to allow another minute in case people have questions, just a reminder that we are probably leaving, Freenode at some point in the future. We have a presence already on LiberaChat IRC if you'd want to move over there. If you have any opinions on this, just a reminder to tell us about it over on the Foreman discourse. Another reminder that we have a Foreman community demo tomorrow that's actually quite jam-packed. I'm just going to drop a link in the chat there to our lineup. Please join us for that as well. And if, let me see, Mark has just said there, registration to operating system agnostic, basic stuff. just to create a record in Foreman. And it, okay, and it contains bootstrap logic specific to OS host group, etc. I think he's just answering Maximilian. So if there are no and if there aren't any other questions, or you are watching this on the replay, just feel free to drop questions into YouTube chat or in our community discourse, and we will get back to you. Any feedback, if you don't have questions, is also very welcome. I'd like to thank Leos for taking the time to do this live with me today, and to all of you for coming along, for asking questions and sticking with us. One last thing, Foreman birthday party is July 1st, so make sure to put that in your calendar. We'll have lots of interesting and new items to talk about there. And I think that is everything for now. So thank you very much for your time, and we will be live again tomorrow. So join us then. Take care. Okie doke.